So one of these two lenses are 85 1.2S by Nikon, and the other one is a Noct, the legendary 58 1.095 Noct, because we are not used to saying 0.095. We start with 1 point something or 2 point something or f4. So right now I'm not moving, because the moment I move, I'll go out of focus on one of the lenses and you'll know which one is a Noct, which one is not the Noct. What I wanted to see for myself is essentially whether these two lenses give me significantly different images, the look, the overall rendition and everything. The 85 1.2 is something I own. It is one of my favorite lenses. It is my most expensive lens, apart from the 70 to 200 2.8. I don't know any of these large telephoto lenses by Nikon, which are very expensive. And this $8,000 US Noct lens, the 58.95, I've used this lens quite a few times in the past, and I've always found the rendition of this lens to be absolutely crazy. The kind of output it gives me, just can't get that from anything else. Maybe the 51.2, yeah, the 51.2 comes close. Maybe even the 35 1.2 can come close. I'll do another video where we just basically go through the images of different lenses and just look at how they look, right? But this one, in my view, the 85 1.2, because you're talking about shallow depth of field here, and the 58 Noct at 0.095, to me are the most comparable lenses if you adjust for the focal length. Because I think the 85 gives you that extra bit of compression, which augments the 1.2 look. Now the 58 of course does not have as much compression as the 58, is very close to the 50 mm compression, but at the same time, because it's just not 1.2, the aperture can grow wider and it can go up to 0.95. That's crazy. That's something. 2 stops more. I think 1 stop more, if I'm not wrong, 1 stop higher than the 1.2 lenses. That's very significant in my view. And I've done a few tests where I've seen that at 2.8, the Noct produces much larger bokeh balls in the background than the 2.8, even the S lens, okay? Which means that, because of the wide, large front element on the Noct lens, what it allows you to do is that somehow the lens is able to produce better, nicer bokeh balls, nicer blur effect, nicer 3D effect on that lens overall. At this point, if you see, you can see this is a fairly wide shot. You can see a lot in the background. You can see some bit of foreground as well, and you can really see whether this gives you that cutout kind of bokeh, which tells you that it does not have 3D pop, or does it actually give you the 3D pop? That's something that I'm going to find out. From my experience, the Noct actually does have 3D pop, and you'll see there are different stages of bokeh that happens. Like, it's not exactly gradual, but you can see that, maybe 2 feet in the background, the kind of bokeh you get is different from the bokeh you get 10 feet behind me. So that at different steps or stages in the background or in the foreground, the rendering and the look is gradual, and it's sort of very poetic, if I can say that. At this point, I think I can reveal the lenses to you. This lens, this is the 58 Noct at 0.95, and that one is the 85 1.2 at 1.2. I do not have an ND filter on the 85 mm. I have only one 82 millimeters ND filter. So I'm using that on the Noct because it's a 0.95 lens. So I've just increased the shutter speed on the 85 and try to sort of expose correctly for this kind of lighting here. It's overcast at this point, so should be okay. And look, what I'm going to do is I'm going to remember my spot here. I'm going to go back and forth to just show you how the 85 looks and how the Noct looks. Of course, I'm going to go out of focus for the Noct. If I go back, the 85 will, I think it is tracking me. I don't know, but I'm fairly certain that the 85 is tracking me. And at this point, I think you'll see a lot of foreground, but probably not so much background bokeh. And if I come forward, I will ask him to kind of track me. I'm back to my previous spot, all right? And let me just come forward and see how the look changes if I come forward. If I'm here at this point, I'm fairly close for both of these lenses, and I think you're seeing the top half of my body mostly. So if I'm here, you can see the kind of background you see, right? I can just move parallelly here, and you can have a sense of how the background looks. So you see that at this distance from the sensor, from these lenses, this is the Noct, the 58 at 0.95, and that's the 85 watt 1.2. I'm looking straight at the 85 1.2 and the Noct is looking slightly this way, which is fine, but I'm fairly close to the camera. I'm about, I think, 15-20 feet away from the camera, and I know that the Noct will produce crazy background bokeh at this point. What I'll try to do is come forward a bit more, because the Noct can actually, I think, focus to about 2 feet away. I'm fairly away from the lens. At this point, I think we're going to see that the background is really blurred. So you let me know what you think. I'm going to write my comments on what I think about these different looks with text in this video. Let me know what you think. Subscribe to this channel if you want to see. I'm going to do a few more videos on the 58.95 Noct because this is such an interesting lens. I've used this lens a lot in the past. I have not shown you those images, those outcomes. I'm going to probably show a lot more of those outcomes in the coming videos so that you can have a fair idea of how this lens actually looks. So subscribe to the channel if you want to see more of these videos. Let me know what else you want to see. I think the Nikon system is growing to be a really interesting system, and there's no other system where you actually have a lens like the Noct and all three 1.2 lenses out, the trifecta of 1.2 lenses, the trifecta of 2.8 lenses. The only place where Nikon is a bit behind is f2.8, longer zoom, longer range zoom, for example 28 to 120 or 28 to 105 or 35 to 150. Those lenses Nikon doesn't have. Nikon also lacks f2 zoom. Those are very specialized large lenses, and I think for a lot of people probably not practical, but I'm looking forward to having those lenses. Apart from that, I think Nikon has such beautiful bouquet of lenses, and two are present in this video. Nikon has such a beautiful bouquet of lenses, it's crazy. Subscribe to the channel, like the video. I'm going to see you soon with another one.